There's a trend going on that I often talk about on this channel, and it usually ebbs and flows, but recently I've been noticing it more and more often, and it's quite concerning. And so I want to take a moment to talk about it and to call ourselves out. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Gen X. We need to stop the bullshit, and we need to cut Gen Z some slack. Gen X POV has partnered with 80stees.com as a way to grow and support the channel via affiliate links. By clicking a link in the description of this video or scanning the QR code on your screen, you will be taken to 80stees.com, where you can shop from hundreds of tees, all from your favorite retro movies, cartoons, TV shows, and more. You will be getting a quality product, many of which are officially licensed, that you will be proud to wear or gift to your favorite Gen Xer. So scan the QR code or click the link in the description below to help support the channel. So this past weekend, we did our annual pilgrimage to the tax office to submit our taxes for 2024. And we've been going to see this particular guy for the past few years. I think actually pretty much as long as my wife and I have been married, we've been going to this guy. So we know him quite well, and it's always a fun conversation. And he always has really good stories about things going on with his own family or things that he sees going on in the office. And this weekend was no different. He was talking about how they needed to hire more staff, which is a good thing. We want businesses to do well, and they needed to hire more staff. And so they had found the perfect candidate. It was this Gen Z young woman out of college with a little bit of experience, and they had already gone through and done the video interview. They had pre-interviewed before they took to the owner of the shop and was going to have him interview her to see if she'd be a good fit for the team, which my tax guy, it was part of the initial hiring process, or screening process rather, and he had already given her thumbs up. He thought she would be perfect for the team. So they invited her in for a face-to-face one-on interview. And as soon as she showed up and walked through the front door, she blew it. She was dressed in a wrinkled t-shirt and blue jeans. The owner of the shop took one look at her, and before she even sat down, said, "Nope, she's going to dress like that to a professional interview. I don't want her." She hadn't even sat down and already blew the interview. It was interesting to me for two reasons. The first being that when he got to the meat of the story, he got kind of quiet, as though he didn't want to say the thing out loud, right? And the second part that really caught my attention, which is what's inspiring this video, is that at no point during his story did he ever say that someone from the office pulled this woman aside afterwards and said, "This is why you're not getting the job. And for your next interview, I'd recommend dressing the part. You need to dress up. Overdress if you need to, but this is a job interview. You're interviewing for literally a six-figure job at a tax brokerage firm, and you need to show the respect that is due. Don't show up in a t-shirt and jeans again for a job like this. You need to show up nice blouse, blazer, skirt, pants if you're more comfortable, nice shoes, hair, makeup, superficial. I know, I get it, but that's the expectation. That is the expectation when you go into a job, especially one like that. Now, I know what you're going to say. It's probably because they were terrified of the fact that this Gen Z, if they were to call her out, would, verbally assault them with all sorts of ideological buzzwords that are like poison-tipped arrows aimed at anybody who dare call her out for being her true self and living her best life. I get it. I understand the fear there. We're Gen X. That shit doesn't scare us. The rub of it for me is that we're keeping quiet on things that are important. Now, there are many people who have commented on my channel when I do videos like this that here's another Gen Xer acting like a boomer, complaining about the younger generation, and it's literally the generation that we're responsible for raising. You're right. You are absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. And that's why I think this video needs to be a call to action. But not to Gen Z. This video needs to be a call to action to all of us Gen Xers out there who are bitching and moaning about the younger generation that we didn't take the time to properly teach. Gen X's innate ability to sit back and watch the world burn and not get involved is part of the problem. And we need to address that now before things really get bad. See, the problem is that silence often kills truth. Joe Rogan always puts it as we're letting the chickens run the coop, right? We're letting the crazy run the asylum and not doing anything about it. Oh, sure, we'll bitch and moan about it on social media and in videos like this, but let's be real. Quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of doing it myself. I'm tired of making videos about Gen Z or millennials just bitching about what they do or what they don't do and not offering up any real advice to help them out. That's kind of what I wanted to do in the first place, but I found myself slipping into the habits of Gen X, which is just watching the world burn as entertainment. So as Gen X, we need to be able to speak up and say the difficult things that we haven't said to them this whole time. We can't blame them for the ignorance we instilled in them by not sharing what we know. And I'm trying to change that now. So I hope that if any Gen Zs are out there watching this or millennials are out there watching this, I understand the plight you're in. You want to be better, you just don't know how. At least many of you don't know how because you were never taught. So I hope this video is a little bit of a call to action to other Gen X content creators out there who might actually offer up some advice for you instead of just another tongue lashing. And speaking of tongue lashings, let's try not to assault the person who's actually trying to give you a hand up in the world and help you succeed. So you don't have to lash out at a Gen Xer or a boomer who is giving you some hard-earned valid advice, especially when it comes to your career or improving your status in life, right? You're trying to climb a corporate ladder, but it's like you're doing it in the dark, and we're trying to shine a light on the rungs so that way you get some proper footing, okay? So let's stick aside all of the tongue lashing from both sides and come to an agreement or at least an understanding that we can help each other out. Because eventually you're going to take over the world and we're going to be sitting in retirement homes. And I don't want you coming after me to fulfill a vendetta that you may or may not have against me for not doing my job. And the statistics illustrate my point exactly. Pew Research did a study in 2024 that said 62% of people are afraid and flat out refuse to say and tell the truth to their coworkers for fear of verbal retaliation, or worse, them being reported to HR and potentially losing their jobs for just simply trying to help that person be better. I know. I'm doing exactly what I said we shouldn't be doing in the first place, which is I'm pointing at the bear, but I'm not pointing at the solution on how to deal with the bear. So here's my take on what I think the fix to all of this should be. First and foremost, we need to reaffirm that old adage that we were told time and time again, right? How many times have we been told by our parents, it's for your own good? We heard it, and we eventually learned that was true. We need to understand that it's not about being friends with these individuals. That'll come later when you gain their respect. What it's about is understanding you need to tell them the difficult things, whatever that may be, because it's for their own good. It will help them become better individuals, better functioning members of society. And that's a responsibility that, I'm sorry, Gen X, we've just ignored for far too long. Step 2 is finding that line and knowing that that line is a battle worth having. I know, I get it. This is my channel where snark is my sword and truth is my shield, and I'm pretty heavy with the sword. But the truth is that we need to be kinder ourselves. We don't have to be the hard-nosed, badass Gen Xers that we have built this persona of. I'm definitely not that in real life, and I think a lot of you aren't either. Understand that it doesn't always take a knife or a blunt weapon to get your point across. Maybe take them out for a cup of coffee someplace away from the office so they don't feel as though they're being attacked or called out in front of their peers, and gently tell them as though you would tell your own children. And lastly, until they understand that you're trying to help, you may have to take a tongue lashing or two. It's all in how you approach it. But remember this, even if you approach it in the best way possible and they still have that knee-jerk reaction of firing those poison tip arrows at you of their ideology or whatever they feel, understand that that's a defense mechanism that we force them to build. Because all we've done is tell them how ridiculous and stupid they are for years. So when you get told that long enough, you come to a breaking point and you start defending yourself, and that's all they're doing. So it's going to take a few tongue lashings that we have to endure before they realize and understand, hey, wait a minute, they're trying to help me here. I'm going to listen. And like I said previously, if you soften the blow and remove them from the work environment or wherever it is, and take them someplace where it is a one-on-one conversation in private where they don't feel called to the mattresses, you might be surprised at how well that works. So is it possible that you might get canceled for doing this? Yeah, maybe. But maybe it's one of those battles that as Gen Xers we're always talking about that we would fight if ever faced with it. So if the value outweighs the risk, why wouldn't we do it? And besides that, life's too short. I turned 50 this year, and quite honestly, I'm tired of biting my tongue. It's getting sore. I'd rather die loud than with a whisper. Wouldn't you? I almost don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's part of my shtick. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, I know, I'm probably going to catch some flack for this, but that's okay. This is a subject that needs to be broached, and quite honestly, feels good to talk about it. I don't want to beat up Gen Z anymore. I don't want to beat up millennials anymore. I want to help them to succeed because eventually I'm going to need them to clean up a little bit of the shit show that we made ourselves, and I'd like to be able to trust that they can do it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the comments section.